What's up, guys? Mike with Car Thoughts here, and it is time for me to get rid of the horrible radio that is in this Ferrari. Now, I know, everybody that has one of these or thinks they want one of these says you don't need a radio. You've got that back there to listen to, and that is 100% true. Car sounds really good. But I do like listening to music, and the way it sits, this radio in here sucks. I mean, it's fine for listening to the radio, I guess. But that's about all you can do with it. And they make some newer models that are actually pretty freaking cheap. So this is the one I got here. Driving entertainment. I have no idea like what this actually is. From China, and yeah, it's just a single DIN radio. So it's just gonna go right there in the spot where the old one is. It's supposed to fit right in there, be really sleek, and I should be able to connect everything that I need to connect. So it's got Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, all that sort of stuff. So it'll Bluetooth, and I can play whatever I want here and keep kind of the factory-ish look of the dash there without making it look too ugly. So that's the goal. I'm gonna get this thing out. I got to do some wiring here. I'll probably show you kind of how that matches up. I've done some research on the Ferrari chat forum to see if I can figure out what I needed to do this. So I bought this turbo wire wiring harness that's supposed to basically hook up with the factory harness in there. So it says it's for a Volkswagen 1987 and up, but hopefully it will connect to this Ferrari. So I've got some tools to be able to pull this radio out, and I will show you kind of what that looks like and how it's going. But fingers crossed tonight I can have a new radio on this thing. All right, now this is what the new radio looks like. I kind of chose this one. There's several out there that are very similar. Chose this one because it had like a real knob on it, and I like that. I am hoping that I will be able to control, at least the volume and everything with that. And then it's also got a couple charging ports right here on the face, USB-C, and then a regular USB. So yeah, that's kind of why I went with this unit. But again, there is the factory Ferrari head unit, and hopefully if this works out as it should, this is going to mount right in there and be fairly flush with that front part of the dash. So we'll see how it goes here. I've got some tools that basically slide in there to kind of unlock that one, and I should be able to pull that thing out and yeah, get rolling. So these are the release tools. Super cheap. I don't even remember what they cost, but it was like $4 or $5, something, ridiculously cheap. But there are slots in there. These essentially just slide in like so, and then I'm going to go ahead and pull this out. All right, so the radio is out. Just kind of documenting what I got going on back here. So the different plugs, it's got essentially one there for the radio. And I'm actually not sure what that is, but yeah, I've got the wiring harness. I'm going to see how all these need to connect to that. Make sure I got everything set up the way I need to, and start connecting some new stuff on the new radio. All right, so this is good. I've got basically a diagram right here on top of the old radio that lines out exactly what all of those wires were that were plugged in here to the back of that. So it's got the 3 different plugs there labeled as A, B, and C, and then over here essentially tells you exactly what they are in each one of those plugs. So I'm just gonna try to decipher this a little bit with the wiring harness that I have and see if I can put together everything for the new radio to plug right in there and operate like it should. All right, I've got the wiring harness here that I purchased. It is going to work, so that's going to plug into there, which is great. That's the first hurdle. I was hoping that I ordered the correct part. And honestly, wiring is about my least favorite thing to try to do on a vehicle, even if it's just trying to wire in your new stereo. And I am honestly terrible at it. But we're going to figure this out as we go here. The speakers part, not too terribly difficult. Pretty much dummy proof. All of these wires are the same color, so they're color coded. I basically need to get these wired up to these on top of that. So that is going to be for the different speaker locations. And then down here for this part, I essentially have to figure out where our power and everything needs to go. I've got a few different colors on this that is going to plug into this unit over here. So I kind of just need to get those sorted and see if I can figure out exactly where I need to put those right now. But I'm going to go ahead and get to wiring on that and see if I can get some stuff connected. All right, I finally have this wired up over here. Took a little bit. So I basically only have 2 speakers in this car at this moment. I went ahead and wired just everything so it would be wired here. So, but only 2 of these are going to essentially deliver any sound. I'm only going to need the 2 of these. So the other wires I've just stuck back in there. I've got this here in the dash so that this will slide in there and kind of hold tight. I did have to move some of these around. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that I have them set in the right places. So I basically tried to match up some stuff. The one thing that I did have kind of a weird question on was this orange wire here. And it essentially is, let's see, it's in that spot right there. So it is the illumination input right here. And over here on this, I've got an illumination input right here, terminal 58D. And that is number 6. So it is right there. But over here, I don't have a connection in terminal 6. It is this one right here. So everything else was in a spot that made sense, but this right here. So I moved that illumination wire over here, and I'm going to plug it in and just see what happens. I had to move a couple things around from where this wiring harness had them. Essentially, I kind of flip-flopped the constant battery power and then the ignition battery power. But they should all be in a spot there to plug in. So I'm going to go ahead and plug that in now. I've got a adapter here for the antenna for the radio. So also bought this pretty cheap. I think it was less than $10 to get that. So that's going to plug in, but everything else should just plug right in here. And hopefully when I turn the key on, I should have a radio that works. I wanted to show you exactly kind of how these wires are coming out of here, which this may be different on whatever radio you get. But, and then going into here, they are set up like this. So I've got the ground constant power right there, and then this is an antenna this is your ignition, and this right here was the illumination. So that seems to work all right. And yeah, these other ones, those are just, of course, your speakers. And what I have running, I believe this is the right side front and then the left side front. So the two in the middle there are all set up. Other wires you don't need. I've got the antenna all plugged in here. And now I'm just going to stick it in the dash there. I've got the, like I said, the kind of encasing in there. Make sure all these tabs are kind of bent in before I stick it in. And then I will put that in there and we'll see how it looks. All right, ladies and gentlemen, there she is, the completed and final product. I love the way it turned out. I think it fits in there fairly nicely. So it's got a little bit of a lip on each side over here. But other than that, I think it looks, you know, really clean in there. Like I said, I picked the one with the knob. There's probably a dozen or so of these that you can get now. Similar setup. So like I said, it's got the CarPlay and the Android Auto. I've already got that connected. Works great so far. So looking forward to kind of using it. But yeah, I think it was a success. So I hadn't really seen much as far as content goes on how exactly to wire these things up. I know there's several guys who have done this already, but hopefully this video will help anybody else out there that is looking to install one of these in their Ferrari. I believe this is pretty similar for the F430 if somebody is doing it in one of those. But as far as the 360 goes, there you have it. And yeah, I'm glad I could add a little bit of modern technology into this modern classic, and I am looking forward to enjoying this as soon as possible. So hopefully this helps anybody else out there that is looking to install an upgraded radio in their Ferrari. And yeah, there you have it. I will talk to you guys later and hope this helps. Bye.